Hi guys, Rob Anderson here from Athletic Evolution. I've just been pondering a few things lately and I thought it would be worth sharing. And one of them is that I think martial arts is probably the closest we can get to an ideal long-term athlete development pathway. And I'm going to explain why I think that is. So, a really effective thing about martial arts is a belt system. So you come in at a white belt and you work your way up to being a black belt. So the thing about that journey is it's individual. So it's not time bound that someone at 6 months automatically gets the next belt. It's whenever you are ready, you've shown the correct techniques or the correct mastery of certain skills. But inevitably, that journey also confirms the kind of idea that we should be improving towards mastery, not towards just a performance, but towards achieving certain skills and building on those things. So first of all, the belt system and that hierarchy of skill development is really obvious. It's individual and it's not time bound, so it allows individuals to progress at their own rate. Second is people can enter, leave and re-enter the pathway at any time. So someone might come in as a 5-year-old, someone might come in as a 50-year-old, someone might come in as a 25-year-old. People might drop out, re-enter. That's okay. It's perfectly normal. It's allowable. People understand that. It doesn't mean that once you've left, you're never going to come back. It also means you're not chastised for coming back. So actually people can re-enter, leave the pathway at any time. A third part is that it can be both recreational and competitive, which is very unusual in a lot of sports settings. So you can have people training side by side. One person is really, really competitive and wants to go and perform on a national or international stage. The other person is just doing it recreationally. But they can train together, they can help prepare each other, and that's a really effective thing. Another thing is when people do compete, is that not only are they matched in age categories, which isn't maybe brilliant from a biobanding perspective, but also weight categories. So actually that helps minimize some of those unfair differences that we see on the pitch in maybe football or rugby, etc. So although it's not a perfect system, it's a heck of a lot better than just putting everyone in one age bracket. So the fact that there's both age and weight categories. Alongside that, there's also juniors, seniors, masters. So there's a whole spectrum of people if they do want to compete. Within that, within your own individual club, so whether you're training karate or jiu-jitsu or whatever it is, there's this really unusual thing that doesn't happen in a lot of other sports, which is that you could be training with someone else who's 2 years older or 5 years older or 10 years older or a blue belt or a black belt or a purple belt or a brown belt. That actually people train across levels and across age groups, which doesn't happen a lot. So what effectively happens is you get peer-to-peer teaching. So people train across experience, they train across belt levels. Often older or more experienced practitioners will get asked to help with a group or help develop this group. But it's not unreasonable for a white belt to be training with a blue belt or a blue belt to be training with a brown belt or a purple belt. That actually there's this coaching up and down the scale. So that's a really good element as well, and it's peer-to-peer teaching. Another thing is the holistic development. So we understand that we should have technical, tactical, physical and behavioural pillars covered off. But very few places or very few sports actually legitimately do that. And I think that's something that martial arts really does. So yes, there's a technical element. That's a given, whether you're learning the kata in a formal kind of traditional martial art or you're learning the techniques of Brazilian jiu-jitsu or whatever it is. There's then a tactical element of that. So sparring, rolling, etc. The physical element is also pretty widely acknowledged. So a lot of martial arts classes will include some physical development. And then also, it's widely recognized that there's a lot of behavioral or mental attributes that come through martial arts. So whether it's discipline, commitment, self-control, that handling of aggression, all those things. So actually, it's probably one of the only arenas that legitimately covers off the technical, tactical, physical, and behavioral or mental. So there you have it. That's what I've been thinking recently and why I think martial arts is the closest that we have to an ideal long-term athlete development pathway. I'd love to hear your thoughts to see if you think I'm wrong or I'm right, or whether you've just had some different ideas. So feel free to fire away in the comments below. Cheers.